The purpose of this session is to explain the personality profile, also known as the Behavior Style Report. During this session, you will learn the 4 basic personality styles, what the behavior style graph measures, and some common personality styles. Let's begin by examining the 4 basic personality styles. There are people who are high energy, impatient, and seek status and recognition. There are others who are low energy, patient, and seek security. There are people who are formal, prefer tangible results, and can thrive in a negative environment. That means they can either tolerate chaos or create chaos. Likewise, there are people who are informal, who prefer people and relationships, and thrive in a positive environment. That means they like calm, stable conditions and want everyone to get along. When you combine these characteristics, you see personality styles emerge. When you combine these extroverted characteristics with these formal characteristics, you get what we call a director behavior style. Director styles direct other people. They are aggressive, assertive, bottom-line oriented, have a strong sense of urgency, and can come across as bold and domineering. Under stress, tension, or fatigue, they can become belligerent. Perhaps you know someone like that. They fear an unfair advantage, which means they don't want anyone getting the upper hand or manipulating them. Common roles for directors include executives and entrepreneurs. Here are a few examples of some famous people with director behavior styles. Let's take a look at the next personality type. There are people who are extroverted, just like the director style. However, this type is warm, relational, and friendly. They are referred to as an influencer behavior style. Influencer styles relate to others. They are gregarious, fun-loving, and outgoing, the life of the party. They're typically flashy dressers and very excitable. Under stress, tension, or fatigue, they become emotional, and they can act out their feelings, which can be quite dramatic at times. They fear conflict and prefer everyone to get along and have a good time. Common roles for influencers are outside sales, marketing, and communications. Here's a few examples of some famous people with an influencer behavior style. The third personality type is the supporter. A supporter accommodates or supports others. They are the introverted version of the influencer. They are warm and friendly, laid back, easygoing, methodical, and prefer to do one thing at a time. They typically won't initiate relationships as much as they will be warm and receptive to those who approach them. Under stress, tension, or fatigue, they withdraw and slow down. They fear change, especially rapid change. Common roles for a supporter are operations, administration, and customer service. Here are a few examples of some famous people with a supporter behavior style. The fourth and final personality type is the controller. A controller profile is both formal and introverted. They come across as rather cool, distant, and reserved. They are very analytical and prefer to work with facts, figures, data, and information. Under stress, tension, or fatigue, they can become critical, and they fear making a mistake. Common positions held by a controller profile are engineers, accountants, computer programmers, and technicians. Here's a few examples of some famous people with a controller behavior style. Those are the 4 basic behavior styles: director, influencer, supporter, and controller. Let's take a look at your graph as you prepare for your interpretation. At this time, please open your assessment report and turn to the natural and adaptive styles comparison. The graph looks like this. As you can see, there are 2 graphs. Look at the natural style graph. This is the personality type that you've had since you were about 6 years old, and it really doesn't change throughout your life. This is how you act and interact off the job in your natural state at home and with friends. This is what we call the real you. The other graph is your adaptive style. This is how you modify your personality type when you're on the job. This is how you feel you should act when you go to work every day. This is based on your perceptions of your working environment. If you look at the top of the graph, you'll see the letters D, I, S, C. They stand for director, influencer, supporter, and controller, the 4 personality types we just covered. Each graph has 4 bars, one corresponding to each of the 4 personality types. The higher the bar, the more intense and recognizable that particular style is. Likewise, the lower the bar, the less intense and less recognizable that particular style is. There is a midline at 50%. Any bar or bars above the midline represent your dominant behavior style. For example, your natural style graph represents your dominant natural behavior style. Your adaptive style graph is your style on the job. Whatever changes are made from your natural style to your adapted style graph indicates how much you modify when you go to work every day. Let's take a look at a few examples of the natural behavior style for some different personality types. A typical extrovert would look like this: a high DI profile. A strong introvert would look like this: a high SC profile. A warm, friendly person would look like this: a high IS profile. A more direct, stick-to-the-facts kind of person would look like this: a high DC profile. Now that you know the 4 basic behavior styles and how they relate to your graph, you're now ready for an interpretation of your behavior report. Be sure to watch the other videos related to your assessment before you have your interpretation session with your assessment consultant.